I'm Shani.
And we are Loving Out of Bounds.
Formerly known as Shani and Je.
Absolutely. So, we are back at you with another video. And today's topic is...
slightly heavy.
Yes, it is a little heavy. It is sexuality
and spirituality.
Yes, sexuality and spirituality. We know people have varying beliefs and perspectives, and we respect everyone's belief and perspective. And so as we're giving our personal beliefs, note that these are our beliefs.
Yeah, because this conversation could go on in a variety of different directions, and I think maybe part of the issue is that I don't know, like, it often takes the form of this is the way that those two things are supposed to function, and anytime you try to confine characteristics of people into like a perfect little shape or square or box, then there's always going to be some pushback, because everybody doesn't fit into the parameters of what someone else feels like things should exist in. Actually, this is a conversation we have together often, just because depending on maybe a perspective we just heard or experienced with someone, we kind of vent to each other and sound off to each other, because we give each other the raw. Not necessarily saying that like I'm mad at her, but she's going to get my very real perspective, raw emotion on whatever it is, and vice versa. And I think that we've tried to make it a practice to say it to each other first before we bring it to a public platform, just because we want to make sure that we are always being mindful that what we say and release out into the public space is exactly what we meant and exactly how we want to be represented. You know, sometimes people can take your words and twist it.
And we also are, disclaimer, we are also not trying to persuade.
No, not at all.
Anyone.
This is not a persuasion video,
none of that. I think we can kind of just start off with just sexuality in general, and just understanding like we are part of the LGBT community, and more so define ourselves as queer within that space. So
yeah, I like the word.
Yeah, queer just defines us. We'll drop a definition to queer here, so we don't have to ramble off to you. We'll drop it or put a screen.
So the definition of queer, or that people understand it to be, is here. Take a moment, read it, manifest,
let it sit with your spirit,
all of that good stuff.
And so that's how we define ourselves.
Yes.
Oftentimes people don't understand our dynamic.
A lot of times.
Because I guess within the LGBT community, we're considered as two femmes, right?
Right.
Because we're considered as two femmes. I don't need to explain that.
Yeah.
But and so a lot of people don't understand it. So the whole when we're out in public, people are like, "Are you sisters?"
That's always the go-to. Like, it's no one ever assumes that we are together in a relationship first. It always goes to, okay, y'all must be sisters. Then when we're like, nope, oh, best friends. Well,
yes, we are best friends, yeah. Right. Cousins, no, none of that.
This is my wife. Oh, remember that guy in Roses? And he followed us around the store. Oh my God.
Creep.
He was very creepy. And he did that whole script. Y'all sisters. Oh,
y'all lying, man. Get out of here. Y'all too beautiful. How are you? You're too beautiful to be that.
Right. Which is very offensive. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what does that even mean? And what are you trying to say? And oftentimes I think people often make comments like that and assume that it is somehow a compliment, but it's offensive. It's like, if your compliment has to be offensive to someone else, then I don't even want that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it's not a compliment.
Because ultimately it's not a compliment. And I'm not going to laugh with you in agreement. I'm going to look at you like I looked at him like, what's wrong with you?
And so we literally was like, no, that's my wife, and thank you. And
we're good.
We're good. Yeah, that he was like, we're good. So we often, and he's not the first one. He was probably the most creepy one, the creepiest one.
Yeah.
But
definitely creepiest.
But we are used to the responses even when we're out.
I think it actually becomes like maybe
like what the hell this person about to say this
time.
And
then which one of us is going to check them first, you know, depending on how far they go with it.
It depends on the day.
It does, because it changes. Sometimes it's her, sometimes it's me.
Yeah.
Depending on the tolerance level, I guess, that either one of us possesses at the moment.
Right.
And that's just what it is. I think, though, that's a perfect segue, because sexuality for a lot of people is very restricted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so in their minds, when they meet people, specifically people within the LGBTQ community who identify with sexualities that are different from their own, they automatically don't understand it, and then it triggers all of the other thoughts that further reveal that they don't really understand the totality of sexuality.
And we believe personally that sexuality is a spectrum.
A spectrum.
We do believe majority of people fall in between, whether they're willing to, acknowledge it or not, admit it or not. But we do personally believe most people fall in between.
So again, that doesn't mean so y'all feel like everybody is attracted to both sexes.
No.
We're not saying that. We're saying it is a spectrum. Like if you look at any spectrum, there are gradual eases to one side and gradual eases to the other.
Yes,
and that is what we mean by it being a spectrum. People fall on that spectrum, and unfortunately sometimes there are people that kind of lie in the middle of that spectrum, right? Or maybe sometimes are slightly over to the right or slightly leaning to the left, but they are afraid to even own that because of what other people might think.
And it's also just due to their own conditioning,
right.
Or stereotypes or norms, or again, this is, I guess, the perfect segue to lead into just how you grew up. So I grew up devout Christian, actually Southern Baptist Christian. Shout out to y'all, love y'all. But there also were a lot of things that I learned that I knew that I needed to unlearn for myself. And it was for myself because once I met Ashanti, things for me didn't add up through prayer, through just consistent time with God. Past teachings did not line up with what I felt like God was speaking to me. And I cannot say this is true for everyone, but personally for me, I couldn't say that. And so what brought us to this actual topic, again, we were watching a girl on Instagram. And I think that her message was slightly, troubling. As much as I do respect everyone's voice and their perspectives, I do think that we do have to be mindful of the information that we put out. And I guess someone could say the same about me or us in doing this, really.
And what we're putting out.
Yeah. So, but for me, her truth was not my truth. And so I'm
sorry, that just made me think about something. You say what you're going to say, and then I'll tell you what that made me think about.
Okay. So, her truth was not my truth, but oftentimes when people don't understand a situation, they take something that seems to match up with what they believe, and they take that and they're like, see, she gets it. And so it was talking about gay conversion therapy. What gay conversion therapy is, or what I understand it to be is that you go through this process of converting yourself from converting your feelings of same-sex same-sex feelings, I guess, and converting yourself to be more, I guess, on the heterosexual side.
Right.
And so it's a process that you go through therapy. I mean, this thing was done, gay conversion therapy has been around for decades.
Yeah.
That's what she was talking about. But she talked about how she still has these really strong feelings of same-sex attractions, right? Mm-hmm. But she was like, God is not calling people to be straight. God is calling people to be holy.
So essentially, it from my take, or our take, I think, it sounded like what she was saying was, in terms of your sexual attraction and your spirituality, it's okay if you have these attractions. However, in order to be holy, you shouldn't act on those attractions.
Right, because she said she does still have those attractions, right?
Right.
And she may have dreams about
her ex-girlfriend
and things like that.
Mm-hmm. She was talking about in her current relationship, because she's now with a man, and not that there's anything wrong with that.
Absolutely, it's not.
It sounded like she chose to just be with the man because she felt like that was the holy thing to do, even though she still has
attractions to her girlfriend.
Right.
And honestly, just being real, completely respect that. Like, completely understand that. Like,
that's your choice.
That's your choice. Because if it's something that you personally can't sit with and you can't live with, I truly believe that you definitely, if you feel like you're going to be convicted, like, throughout your life, you need to figure out how to move best for you, for sure. For me, I felt I would be convicted if I didn't choose this life. And so what I'm trying to say more so is that I think that it's different for different people.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning of our journey, of course, I grew up Christian now, and I when we first got together, I was Christian, and I'm still Christian now. But between now and when we first got together, there were moments of me just questioning Christianity, but never questioning God and never questioning who Jesus is. It was more so questioning just the way people move in the church. That's always my thing. Like, I've never, and so it's really just hard to explain that to people, because they're like, you know, you're questioning your faith and things like that. And I've never strayed on my faith. Like, I believe God is real. I've never not believed that God is real. I still believe in Jesus. I believe, like I've always said, I rock with Jesus. Like, and so, but I did struggle with, should I say the word struggle? Because people may, I don't know. But I'm going to say struggle because I don't really have the vocabulary or the brain power to think of another word right now. So, I want to say I struggled with Christianity because some of the beliefs don't necessarily line up with what I've taught. For me, I personally believe that God was calling me to live most authentically to who I was. Right. And that it was okay. It really was, like, for me, love is love. And like, if God is love, then if God created me and he brought this person into my life, like, the relationship and our chemistry was truly undeniable. I can't explain the chemistry that we had, but I know that it was absolutely undeniable because I tried to deny it, but it was it was truly it was undeniable. And so that's just for me how sexuality and Christianity have linked. It hasn't been an easy process, and even sometimes still when I hear certain people say things, sometimes I do look at certain perspectives, and I think that it's very damaging to people that are struggling.
And I'm sorry to cut you off. This is not just directed specifically towards Christianity. She's just speaking about Christianity.
My experience.
Because that's the that's what she chooses to identify with. So that's her vantage point. That's where she's speaking from. But I think the same thing can be applied across
any
of the religions, because I think in my experience, because I wasn't I was raised to know Christianity. I was raised as a Christian, but not as a church every Sunday, every week Christian, you know what I mean? And most of that had to do with just kind of some of my family's experiences with the church and some of the hurt that had happened there. And so there was I guess a little more space between me and the church. And I would say with that experience, as I grew older, what it always seemed like happened with spirituality and sexuality was that people felt like, and this is my experience, right? This is not me saying that. This is absolutely how people think.
We have to keep saying that.
Because people tend to watch stuff and get one.
We're sure we'll get plenty of dislikes on this video. It's okay.
Feel free if that's what you need to do. But yeah, from my experience, it always seemed like people felt like if you did identify with same-sex attraction or you did identify with the LGBT community, that somehow that meant you had no spiritual relationship at all. And that was always baffling to me because I'm like, what? How does that even translate? Or how does that even mean? Like, just because I love differently at times than you do, how does that translate to mean that I somehow don't know God, or I somehow don't have a relationship with God, or I don't have a spiritual practice at all? Like, that was always mind-blowing to me. And I guess that always made me push away from organized religion as a whole. I'm like, so me and God are going to be over here with our relationship, because ultimately I believe that it doesn't matter which affiliation you choose to align with. Your spiritual relationship is a personal journey. So at the end of the day, you can get advice from spiritual advisors. You can get advice from community and fellowshipping. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when everything else is quiet around you, you have to be able to connect your soul to whoever you attribute God is. And that is the relationship that you have to rely on. That's what has to be your foundation. And I just never understood why people felt like that was non-existent if you identify.
And oftentimes it's not even that it's non-existent. That's, for me, that's when my relationship grew stronger. And I think what oftentimes when LGBTQ people in the church experience that rejection from the church, the relationship does grow stronger with God, because God is with them through that process.
Right.
And so they're able to begin to differentiate the two. Like, church is not God.
Right.
You go to worship God and to praise Him and to be in communion with family, and so we're a spiritual family, but at the end of the day, God is within you.
Always. Or that's what we believe.
Yeah.
And you have to be, for anyone who does, because now we're on the other side of it, right? Like, neither one of us feel like we are conflicted in our spiritual practices and our sexuality. Like, we're good. But there are some people who may still be struggling in that regard. And there is no neat one way that we can tell you on how to get to where you need to be. It really is drown out all of the noise around you. And sometimes that does mean the people you love. You gotta silence all of those other voices that may not necessarily be able to fully represent what you are feeling, what your truth is, your authentic self, and try to really sit with yourself and God and really commune with God and talk to God however you need to talk to God to really strengthen that relationship. And don't be afraid to be firm on what you feel like is true for you. No one can tell you something that is different from what you feel and what you've heard. I remember when we first started talking, and like she said, she struggled, and She, what did you say to me?
I said, I guess I don't get to be happy.
Yeah, and then she was like...
Because of the rejection from, like, it's just, like...
It was just a lot of rejection.
It was a lot of rejection from people that I love so dearly, and it was hurtful. It was... It hurt to the core of my soul, I must say. And then I was like, I guess I'm just not... I'm not supposed to be happy, because for me it was like I must choose everyone over me.
Right, and I was like, what?
She didn't say that to me. Though.
Right, but in my mind I'm like, no, like that's not what God intends for you. You know what I mean? Like, and it's really saddening that there are people who feel like God intends for you to suffer, or God intends for you to not be happy, or God intends for you to not be able to live your truth. Yeah. God is love, and we believe that we are representations of God, right? And we believe that we possess God within us, and so therefore we believe that as a reflection of God, God wants my joy. You know what I mean? Me being in joy is me reflecting the God in me. Mm-hmm. Me being happy is me reflecting the God in me. You know what I mean? Me being loved is reflecting the God in me.
Love is, like, I think anytime people are moving in love, I know that is God within them.
Speaking.
And I think ultimately that was how I got through. Yeah. And so... my whole motto was just embrace love. Yeah. And so I just consistently embrace love. And that embrace love was not just embrace love from others or extend love to others, but it had a lot of internal embrace love.
Like a reminding message.
Yeah, this is love. This feels good. This feels authentic. It doesn't feel wrong.
Right.
And so that was my truth in how I got through. But I will honestly, say that it wasn't easy for me. But I just knew that God was always with me through it all. I knew because the Holy Spirit lived within me and I was receiving all my cues from the Holy Spirit, then I knew personally that I was moving in the direction that I needed to be moving in. Now, can I say that means that's what everybody else needs to do in the world? Right. No, but I knew for Jay, that's what I needed to do.
That's her perspective.
To move authentically for me.
Yeah. And try to find, I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but try to find the strength or the courage to stand firm in what feels like or what you feel like it is for you. Even if it is different from someone else's, don't be afraid to say, that's not what I feel, or that's not what I believe.
But something I'm realizing, just like at the beginning, is that I did have to strip away certain conditions. Like in the beginning, I had to detach from people, and I think that's why she's saying
the quietening
of the mind and the noise, and everybody quit asking everybody what their opinion is and their view and all of that. It was literally getting quiet with myself. Of course, I'm a yoga and meditation teacher now, but
go figure.
But it like just that yoga meditation journey, like I literally learned the difference between meditation and the difference between prayer. And prayer is when I'm extending my thanks to God, like I'm speaking to God. But meditation was when I decided to sit still, be still, and know that I am God. You have to literally be still and listen to what God is speaking to you.
Downloads.
Get your spiritual downloads. Mm-hmm. We again said we did not want to hold you all too long. I feel like we have stated everything that we feel like we could within this space. Again, as Shani said, if you are on this journey, it's a journey that you and only you can walk.
But support. We know how important support.
Because I couldn't have done it alone. But I also had to see representations of me from the support of just my loved ones and my family. It helped me get through, and I understand that may not be the support that everyone has. I completely understand that. But again, message us if you need support. And
because we get it.
Absolutely. And so yeah, but ultimately what we're just trying to say is just, again, get quiet, get still, move to your most authentic being,
Right.
Listen to God, and
don't be afraid to develop and explore your spiritual relationship and what that means for you. Even if you are finding that there is some pushback from what you may have known, or things you used to do not think that means that there is no place for you to have a spiritual relationship just because your love happens to be different from the next person.
And also, never let anyone rush you out of the closet, because I think that's a big thing, is that like some people feel like, oh, be out, and I think that is something that people are, I do believe that there is freedom in being out, right? But you have to do it in your own time.
Yeah, you have to be ready to be in that space. And she's not saying like, don't be out.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't be out. I'm just saying
just
do it in your own time.
Absolutely, and you have to know, and there are certain, it's a certain thought process that you have to go through and be okay with. And once you find that resolve within yourself, then step into your true self, step into your truth, live what it is for you, and love God in the process, and don't be afraid to love God in the process.
And even if your process doesn't, again, look like everyone else's, because ours doesn't, and I think that it's also crucial to say this, is that, just because you decide to be with a male, be in a same-sex relationship, I'm just going to say that. So just because you're deciding to be in a same-sex relationship doesn't mean that is the totality of who you are. There are many facets of who you are, and if you decide to be in a same-sex relationship and this one doesn't work out, it just doesn't mean that, oh, this wasn't it, or whatever the so may be. But just explore. You safely explore. I would say, as much as I would tell you to explore your spirituality,
be safe now,
but safely, and
this has turned it into another video.
Safely and explore who you are within your sexuality. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, who you are within your sexuality. Yeah.
Yes. That. Okay.
Alright, y'all. Don't forget to leave us a comment if you have any questions for us. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up.
Yep.
And we love you all.
Follow us on Instagram if you don't already. Handle is here.
That's it, y'all.
That's it for today.
Alright. Peace and
love.
love.
Until next time. Peace.